Shout out to the working moms out there. I mean, now that I have a puppy at home who likes to interrupt my YouTube recordings, I really think I understand the struggle of working mothers everywhere. I am one of you.
When you need some dough, you don't know where to go in this patriarchal capitalist hellscape. Well, here's the sitch, we're gonna help you, sis, because bitches get riches. Bitches get riches. Bitches get riches. Bitches get riches. And so can you.
How to consume ethically and frugally under the Trump tariffs. Back in the before times, we actually published an article titled Ethical Consumption, How to Pollute the Planet and Exploit Labor Slightly Less. And since its publication, things have changed. Because tariffs. And while much of our advice on ethical consumption still holds true to this day, I'm going to be revisiting that topic right now because it seems necessary. My goal is to shine a light on how we should all approach shopping during the stupidest trade war while still maintaining our morals and our savings rates. We really know how to have fun around here, don't we? So let's kick things off with a question from a follower named Blossom. Blossom asks, "Hi, Auntie Bitches. I have a question regarding an impasse of ethics and finances. So, of course, I figured you'd be the experts. I live in the USA and absolutely hate the direction things are headed in. I'm inspired by hearing that Canada and a ton of countries in Europe are boycotting absolutely everything American-made. This is genius because the only way to hurt the greedy pricks at the top is to hurt their bottom lines. I really want to join in and buy as few goods that are made in the States as possible. However, I also live here. And my household budget is already pretty tight. With this ridiculous trade war going on, imported goods will be even more costly. I'm stuck between a possibly unlivable budget, if fully switching to goods that aren't made here, or being a tad more financially sound, but forced to feed the fascism machine by using American goods. Please, I'd love some advice on how to navigate this." Okay, so Blossom is clearly paying attention, and we couldn't be more proud of them. They're considering activism in the face of personal financial hardship, and we should probably all be a lot more like Blossom. But I think there's a fundamental flaw in their reasoning here, and how they're approaching the problem. Nevertheless, I think I can come to a solution that does the least amount of harm to Blossom's bottom line, while still supporting the changes that they want to see in our country. So let's unpack that. What are tariffs and why do they matter? A tariff is an import tax. It's paid by the importing country to the importing country, and the importing country can only impose tariffs on goods coming across its own borders. It cannot force another country to pay its tariffs. Okay? Blossom's whole question is based on the Trump administration's sweeping new tariffs on goods from nearly every country and penguin-inhabited island on Earth. So it's worth going over what tariffs are, how they work, and how this self-imposed economic hardship is affecting us. I will now explain this in a very serious fashion, using very real and important economic policies. Okay, so we have Narnia and we have Wakanda. Narnia regularly imports vibranium from Wakanda. It is a crucial ingredient in magical wardrobes. But Narnia, a notably lion-worshipping society, gets offended at Wakanda's panther-centric culture. So Narnia decides to encourage Narnian wardrobe manufacturers to divest from Wakandan vibranium suppliers. They do this by imposing a 10% tariff on imported vibranium. This means that if the Narnians want to import vibranium from Wakanda, they have to pay a tax to the Narnian government. The Wakandans go about their business as usual. They don't have to raise the price of vibranium or do anything different with their business practices. But now the Narnian wardrobe manufacturer not only has to pay Wakanda for the vibranium, but they also have to pay 10% of the cost of the vibranium to the Narnian government to get it into the country. They don't want to lose profits, so they pass that tax on to their customers within Narnia by raising the price of wardrobes by 10%. Now every fawn, talking beaver, and precocious son of Adam or daughter of Eve in the country is paying more for their wardrobes because of something their own government did. They're pissed enough to pressure the wardrobe manufacturer to find a source of vibranium within Narnia. so they don't have to pay a tariff anymore. But there is no vibranium in Narnia. There never has been. The only place in the multiverse one can find vibranium is in Wakanda. The 5 tribes of Wakanda have a geographical monopoly on the powerful substance. So the kings and queens of Narnia literally raised prices on their own citizens for no reason. We are the Narnians. The Trump administration are the kings and queens of Narnia. Wakanda is the rest of the world. The vibranium is fucking everything, and the tariffs are 10 to 145%. Stay alive. So what are we average sons of Adam, daughters of Eve, and NBs of Lilith to do? Your first priority in this scenario, no matter what, should be your own survival and well-being. You can't help anyone else or affect positive systemic change if you are starving and evicted. That's just a fact. Yes, this means gritting your teeth and buying what you need to keep food in your belly, a roof over your head, shoes on your feet, and medicine in your system. If you have people depending on you for all of the above, that means making purchasing decisions that keep them healthy and sheltered no matter what. Do not go without proper nutrition, medication, nor anything else you need just because a fascistic administration is fucking with the economy. Not if you can help it. In our Burnout workshop, shameless plug, we talk about how important it is to your loved ones and community to take care of your mental and physical well-being. If you aren't operating at full strength, it becomes that much harder to take care of others, stay informed, and join the fight to change things for the better. Take only what you need. For as long as we're living under these egregious, counterproductive tariffs, the most important principle of ethical consumption is to buy only what you absolutely need. This means food, housing, medications, and very little else. Be judicious about what constitutes a need versus a want. Every time you consider a purchase, your first question should be, do I really need this right now? Or can I make do with what I already have? Not only is this an unintentionally wallet-friendly way to shop, it's also very much in the spirit of boycotting. The rest of the world considers much of what we buy in the United States to be luxuries. I'm talking closets full of redundant clothing, toys and games and sporting equipment, game consoles, Bluetooth speakers, tablets and dog sweaters and word art and throw pillows, oh my! So if you cut out luxuries and stick to necessities, then it follows you'll be boycotting most companies, American-owned or otherwise. Buy secondhand. Shopping secondhand is one of the most ethical ways to consume in any economy. It keeps things out of landfills and lowers the demand for production of items that might eventually end up in a landfill. Plus, it is extremely cheap. And much like the word bitch, around here we are taking cheap back with a vengeance. I am a bit of a thrift shopping queen. So I've covered this topic extensively in the past. If you want to learn more, read our article, Almost Everything Can Be Purchased Secondhand, or watch our recent video on our 5 best secrets for secondhand shopping like a frugal warrior. Thrift shopping is kind of having a cultural moment right now because, spoiler alert, you can't tariff secondhand goods. They don't need to be imported. Almost all are donated, so they don't even contribute to a retailer or manufacturer's bottom line. If you're trying to shield yourself from these batshit tariffs, your first stop for literally anything on your shopping list should be Goodwill. Local is still better, with exceptions. Next, you should strongly consider patronizing smaller local businesses and artisans for your needs. I know, Blossom's whole question is based on the idea of joining foreign countries in boycotting American products and companies. What I'm suggesting is the literal opposite of that. But hear me out. Many of your local businesses and craftspeople are just as angry about this government's policies as you are. A lot of them did not vote for the authoritarian regime currently running the joint. In fact, many of them very intentionally voted for the other candidate. 75,019,230 voters chose Kamala Harris. Not a trade war, not tariffs, and not kidnapping people and disappearing them to a foreign gulag without due process. The kind of local businesses and craftspeople I'm talking about don't really have the bandwidth to export their products at scale anyway. Their market is entirely in-country. These are our allies in this fight. Boycotting them out of business would be a net loss for us all. It is worth it to keep them alive. But what if they chose this? Listen, I spend as much time on "Our Leopards Ate My Face" as the next red-blooded, embittered progressive. So I know there are plenty of American business people and manufacturers who welcomed our inhumane, repressive, and economically nonsensical overlords with open arms. Which is why I am just thrilled to announce that the trash is taking itself out for once. Public Square is a website where businesses who respect traditional American values, dog whistle alert, can get themselves listed. It's basically a directory of every self-identified MAGA business in your neighborhood. And they're doing us the courtesy of announcing exactly where their values, ethics, and priorities lie. That is, firmly wedged up the rectum of an oligarch. While Public Square's intent was to encourage Trump voters to support like-minded businesses, for our purposes, it's a great way to know which of your local businesses to avoid. The free market at work. So take a gander at their interactive map before you go shopping to make sure you aren't unwittingly supporting businesses who chose this tariff shitfuckery. Not to mention the rampant human rights violations. Why bother boycotting? At last, we get to the crux of Blossom's question here. Other countries are boycotting American products and businesses, so shouldn't progressive anti-Trump Americans do the same? Those countries are boycotting American stuff to protest the plan behind the tariffs, to be clear. That plan is to prioritize the sale of American-made goods over imported goods within American borders. The administration's end goal is to encourage manufacturing to take place on American soil. This is a very generous interpretation of what is clearly an ill-conceived and haphazard plan, but stick with me here. By boycotting, these foreign nations are actually saying, okay, if you don't want to import our products, then we won't import yours either. Meanwhile, boycotting all American-made products from within America doesn't have the same impact or purpose. See my discussion of local businesses from a minute ago. All that said, selective boycotting is not without merit. Even if you're sticking to the rule to buy only what you need to survive, you can still be picky. Just remember what I said about Public Square. Some retailers, grocers, and manufacturers are caving to the Trump administration's destructive and authoritarian policies like a dog rolling over to avoid being kicked. And others are enthusiastically supporting the regime's plans and even threw money behind that support. So now it's time to make them eat it. They should be punished for choosing the stupidest trade war. They should be punished for tariffs and alienating our global economic allies. As Blossom says, the only way to hurt the greedy pricks at the top is to hurt their bottom lines. Well said, Blossom. That is poetically symmetrical and also totally true. If you want to know how you can do retail activism, check out what we've written on the subject before in our articles about how to support a labor strike with 3 simple steps. A special note on the service economy. Blossom worries about buying American products, but the United States actually happens to be primarily not a product economy, but a service economy. This means we don't so much make things as offer intangibles for sale. Whether it's software, media, financial services, rideshare and vacation rental apps, or convenient chain retailers and restaurants, services are a huge part of what we make and export. In fact, in 2021, the service sector represented 77.6% of the United States' GDP. So if you want to boycott American-made stuff in a way that will really hurt the oligarchs enabling the Trump administration, start with the service sector, financial services. Wherever possible, pay cash. Credit card companies and buy now, pay later apps profit every time we swipe our cards or pay with an installment plan. And many of these financial services firms are based in the United States, headed by American business people who have traditionally supported the kind of destructive, conservative economic policies that brought Trump to power in the first place. Like Jamie Dimon, who sucks. I'm not suggesting we should shut down our retirement funds and withdraw money from the stock market. Please do not do that. But targeted boycotts of the American financial industry is a lot more effective than a blanket boycott that will hurt allies as much as enemies. Tech services. So here is a partial list of tech CEOs who showed up for Trump. Elon Musk of Tesla, Mark Zuckerberg of Meta, Jeff Bezos of Amazon, Tim Cook of Apple, and Sundar Pichai of Google. So, boycott away, baby. Also, you guys aren't still using Amazon, are you? Because, after all, if you want to eat the rich, you can start by not feeding Amazon. Media services. We are contractually obligated to encourage library patronage at least once per episode. So consider this your friendly reminder that if you want to cancel Spotify, Netflix, and all other media streaming services, you can easily replace them with a library card. This has the added bonus of saving you money and supporting one of our most precious social institutions while it is currently under attack by the Trump administration. We are stronger together. Boycotts are hard, but when done right, they can be wildly effective. The Montgomery bus boycott lasted for 13 months. 13 months. That's over a year of a community banding together and willingly enduring hardship for a righteous cause. Over a year of Alabamans boycotting public transit and walking, cycling, and carpooling in 1955, before cars had air conditioning. Imagine the righteous stank of all those freedom fighters packed in like sardines on their way home from a 10-hour shift at the hamburger factory. Truly, they were the greatest generation. We are already seeing the results from the Target boycott after they rolled back their DEI initiatives to appease the Trump administration. The company is panicking so hard, their CEO had to take a 45% pay cut to make up for their plummeting sales. I just don't know if I can find a violin small enough for this moment. My point is that we need to properly identify our allies and our opponents before leaping headfirst into a boycott. Just as we should be punishing businesses who support not only Trump's tariffs, but the wholesale kidnapping and torture of human beings, we should reward those that oppose it. If you like this topic, you have our Patreon donors and Blossom to thank. Every month, our dedicated patrons vote on whatever topics they want us to cover. And last month, they chose, let's see if I get this right, current events, but not in a way that is going to depress us and or make us want to claw our eyes out. Please, we've had enough of Signalgate. And I hope they're happy with the results. Listeners, if you would like to join Bitch Nation and support our mission of spreading mouthy financial wisdom and such to the masses, you can join us over at patreon.com/bitchesgetriches. Like I said, every month we have a content poll. We also have some exclusive stuff just for patrons. You can also buy our Burnout workshop at our Patreon page. Once again, that is patreon.com/bitchesgetriches. And, you know, I couldn't cover a topic like this if it was packed full of ads and sponsors. So this kind of coverage is really only possible with user donations. So I can't thank our patrons enough for supporting our research and allowing us to speak truth to power like this. Boycott on. Bitches out. That's my fist. I don't know what I'm... Wakanda forever! Dog whistle alert! Dog whistle alert! Dog whistle alert!